Football doesn't last forever. One day, you will play your last game. What are you doing to protect your future? Protection United is more than just a name. It's a family and a lifestyle. A one-stop shop for the modern athlete on and off the field. Protection United will go to war for you, connecting you to companies that you believe in to fit your brand. The era of NIL is here, and it's now. They arm athletes with the tools we need to succeed, to help you create generational wealth well before the clock hits zero. That's why I'm proud to announce that I'll be joining the Protection United family to help unite athletes and protect their futures.
The time has finally come. DJ Lagway officially making his announcement as a new member of the Protect You crew. Big news capping off a week of college and high school action. Welcome on back to the Protection United podcast. As always, Jake Wilson alongside Jay Mickens. Jay, I'm bouncing up and down in my seat, man. I'm excited because it's been a long time coming.
It has been, and it's awesome, right, to have the guy himself, right?
Of course.
Mr. DJ Lagway, guys over on my right shoulder, right? Being part of the crew and understanding about the whole legacy play, right? DJ's not just the typical, Protect You crew member, right? With, where he's going, where we know that his future is so bright and he's just getting started. But most importantly, right, DJ looking at this like, one day I want to, take this business over, right? And send my dad and Uncle Jay out to the pasture, right? And, and take this and build this to be bigger and better than what it currently is now, right?
No.
And so definitely excited. Yeah, I mean, we filmed this back this past summer, right? Been talking about it. And I don't even know, I'm a loss of words. And I'm normally not a guy that doesn't have words, right? That I'm ready to spill out. But, let's just say that I've been excited for this moment, and I'm so glad that it's come. And what more perfect time than after week one of him dominating against Long Island?
No doubt. Because it does feel very special, too, in the era of NIL and how much money some of these guys are making, where you're talking about these agencies sort of flying behind the scenes, right? Letting the athlete do their thing, which they very well should, but then being the athlete that could take that active role in it, I think definitely benefits a guy like DJ. Strong personality, incredibly likable. From the moment I saw him during his senior year, he was almost magnetic. A guy that people wanted to be around, a guy that people wanted to really just hitch themselves to because they knew he was going to be something special, both as a player and as a person. And so now he finally gets to fulfill that in the truest way possible of being the beacon through which everything else in the Protect You crew can really rotate around and gravitate towards, whether that's the people that we currently have on as the incredibly talented athletes that they are, or in terms of attracting new people, being the person that can welcome someone in with open arms as that stud 5-star Gatorade National Player of the Year and saying, it's a family here and we're all a part of it. That's really something special, Jay.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And, just him wanting to be a part of, what we're building here, right? Just speaks high volumes of, him, his mission, his passion, and he's a busy man, right?
No doubt.
He's all over, right? He's become a household name. And, but once again, right, DJ's still the same guy that I remember after one of the high school banquets. Helping, set up the cafeteria, helping clean up. And I'm thinking, how many 5-star athletes, right, has ever wanted to help clean up? They're typically too good for that, right? Or they feel that they're above that. But yet you see DJ picking up trash, helping reset the cafeteria. Just those things that stuck out for me as I watched this young man grow up. And all this, fame he's getting, like it doesn't even go to his head. Like he could care less. He just wants to play football and continue to live out his dreams. Be a good teammate. Be a great player. Coaches all love him from every level, from Trent Miller in high school all the way up to now Coach Napier, right? Collegiately, and I know his future NFL coach is going to love him right the same, because I just know he's going to stay the same guy through and through.
And he was a very interesting story for me too. In my first year here of covering the greater Houston, Woodlands, and even into Willis area, I heard so much about this guy when I first came down of he's going to be something special. He's going to be something special. And obviously the skeptic in me was like, well, you're close to the program. You're close to him personally. So obviously you want to hype the guy up, but being able to get out there and watch him play, it was really something special to see. And so when those interviews started happening of now I have to go and talk to DJ Lagway after a game, you get anxious about that. You get anxious talking to that type of a guy. And so I approach him, and it's my first interview with former employer Woodlands Online. And I'm like, Mr. Lagway, it's good. It's good to meet you.
Yeah.
It's good to meet you. Can you talk a little bit about your performance? Soft-spoken, very calm, very accommodating for any questions or anything that I had to ask him. And it takes me back to his official signing day. When he finally signed for the Florida Gators, there had been some buzz going around of, is Clemson going to poach him? Is A&M going to try and get a push in there at the last minute? But there was no doubt about it. He gets out there with that classic Florida Gators Letterman jacket. And so we wrap all of that up. And there are actual news stations there to cover that signing day. And so now I'm having to go up there shoulder to shoulder with all these news stations. And he and Lagway Sr. pull me aside and say, no, you're going to get your own interview. You've covered us throughout this entire season. You're going to get your own spot. That is so humble, such humility for a guy that could have easily been like most other, high caliber guys that said, nah, I'm here to talk with the news stations. I'm here to talk with the big guys that are here to represent me. But he took the time for everybody.
Right.
And he took those opportunities to not only represent himself, but then to elevate others up with him.
Right.
And I think that's what makes him so special. And what we did get a glimpse of during that first game was how much the ball got spread around. Obviously, you could take the caveat of it's Long Island, but I mean, we're talking about some high-level plays out of Florida during week one. And, of course, Lagway was the guy leading the charge.
He was. He looks great, coming off of, just those minor injuries that he had. Now he's fully healthy, and now you're getting to really see what DJ Lagway can do, and he's doing it on the biggest stage, right? Everyone knows the SEC is like the minor league of the NFL, and, for him to do what he did, against Long Island coming out of the gate, once, like you mentioned, right, not the toughest of opponent. However, the schedule was built up, in my personal opinion, for him to continue to grow, right? Long Island, this coming up week, they got UCF before they go play LSU in Baton Rouge, right? So you're looking at an opportunity for him to continuously grow and to have just a step up in the competition, right, leading into week 3 against those Tigers. And I know that they are welcome DJ very nicely. I hear that the LSU Tiger fan base is very polite, and they like to.
They're very accommodating.
Very accommodating.
Very accommodating to guests.
Yes.
That's Southern hospitality. They really like to show it at LSU.
Especially at the night games.
But we did get some great highlights of DJ's play during week 1 against Long Island, the Sharks out of Long Island University. He ended up playing a very rock-solid game for the Gators. Ended up going 15 of 18 for 120 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. If Computer Jesus, if you got some of those highlights going here, but it was good to see that he settled into the offense very seamlessly. One where last year they were bouncing in between Graham Mertz and obviously DJ with depending on who was injured on any given week, but it looked pretty seamless out there, including what I might say was the catch of week 1 and some pretty stiff competition here. One hell of a catch.
Darnell Brown, that was a great catch. That went Bravo. That was one of I believe, the top college football play. But look at that. We saw this in high school, and we knew how great he was. But a lot of times, you get into, he did it against these kids, or this kid. Or he's doing it against D1 guys that are also get full ride scholarship, guys that are also getting paid, right? And he's making it look so flawlessly. He is a guy that is commanding the offense. He's earned the respect of that team already, and they're all on his shoulders. And I'm telling you, Jake, I got to get you to a game down in the Swamp. You think he got love in Willis, Texas? you haven't seen love until you go to Gainesville, Florida, and just watch all of these people. It's not just the college students. You're looking at the old people, right? You're looking at the administration, right? I mean, everybody loves DJ Lagway, loves the whole Lagway family. Even Jamal gets love when he walks on campus. But definitely excited and cannot wait to continue to watch the season progress and see what else DJ, does.
No doubt, because even just doing a little bit of research and a little bit of preliminary digging into social media, obviously looking at that video that we had playing at the top of the show, you type in DJ Lagway and then go to accounts. There are so many fan accounts just dedicated to his play so far in Florida. I mean, forget about the Willis era. People are so hyperfixated on what he is going to do and what he has done at the University of Florida. It is staggering to see that steady growth. And again, obviously you know him more personally. You've been able to watch this journey, but from even just the beginner's perspective of having called his games during a single year of high school football, getting to look at those clips, watch those games, and be like, I was there.
Yeah.
I watched that player turn into the guy that he is now. It's so surreal for me.
It is.
And it was really cool to see that as Florida demolished Long Island and probably gave a very charitable donation to Long Island Scholarship Fund in a 55-0 stomping by the Florida Gators over Long Island. But we do have a couple of other guys that we'll be getting to a little bit later on for some college firsts. But we got to keep it going right now for the big boys, as Justin Williams made one hell of an impact as well for Georgia during their opening game. Was the 5th highest rated Georgia Bulldog defensive player according to PFF and Pro Football Focus. What a markup for Justin Williams, and where you talk about a guy whose journey was a little tumultuous, right? Where he was that guy coming out of Oak Ridge High School, the 5-star athlete, highest rated defensive player in the history of the University of Georgia, but he sat. He didn't get those playing opportunities that he may have expected during that freshman year, but now it's a valuable learning opportunity. That maturity aspect really comes to the forefront here for a guy that is now finally starting to see the fruits of his labor. That work behind the scenes is starting to pay off, and it paid off in a big way in a 45-7 win for the Georgia Bulldogs in their season opener over Marshall.
Yes, well, first of all, Jay, let's don't get too crazy with it here, right? I mean, it is Georgia, right? And
very true.
Georgia
very
recruits
true.
Nothing but 4 or 5-star athletes where everybody was the man at their school,
No
right?
doubt.
When I met with Justin over the summer, and he talked to me a little bit about that, right? He let me know that was the hardest thing, was having to sit down, not being the guy that has never left the field ever, right? In regards to playing the game. And having, to sit, not getting to play, not getting to be the guy, that was a tough part, right? It messed with his mental. However, it didn't break his mental, right? He stayed strong. He preserved through it, and look at him now, right? True sophomore, getting major minutes, competing. I won't be shocked if he's starting and never leaves the field again at some point for this season until, right, it's time for him to get ready for the NFL draft. But, he is a guy that is I know Georgia loves having a Justin Williams. And once again, if you're a starting linebacker at Georgia,
you're doing something right.
You're doing something right. You're doing something right. Because that is a position that Georgia takes pride in, right? That is one where they feel that they are the best in the game when it comes to developing linebackers and then obviously showing the production that comes with that on the field.
Yeah, no doubt. And it was good to see the utility aspect of it too, of Georgia finding ways to get Justin involved and finding ways to really shape that defense into what will be a very formidable force for the Bulldogs as the season progresses, because obviously the SEC is a gauntlet. You talked a lot about it, of how it's that minor league aspect of it. Georgia has a far from easy schedule. Florida, they're going to have 4 ranked opponents coming up, starting with those LSU Tigers. So to see a guy like Justin finally get those opportunities to prove his worth in front of not just his team, but now the national audience that's there watching that game, I think is really what he was looking for. And now he gets it.
Right.
And now he gets it.
No, he does. And hey, I just can't wait, right? Getting to watch DJ, getting to watch Justin. as the weeks progress, getting to the world's largest cocktail party.
Yes,
Georgia
sir.
and Florida
Yes,
play.
sir.
I'm not trying to rush through the season because football's my favorite part of the year. I don't want to, get to week 8 super fast. I wanted to go slow.
No doubt.
I wanted slow down. Summer went fast. I was good with that because there was no football. I wanted to go slow. However, I cannot wait to watch them once again look at each other in the eyes as they did for 3 years in high school.
Yeah, that was really cool to be a part of, and now we see it play out on a big stage.
Yes.
We see it play out on the national stage. But the cherry on top to this weekend, for me at the very least, felt like the volleyball action really started to come through here as teams are getting those first real games going. The tournaments that are happening prior to conference play are really where the teams get to test their stuff. And the first lady, Samara Coleman, got to see some significant action as well for the TCU Horned Frogs. Things didn't go quite as they were looking for against Pittsburgh. However, that is a top 3 team in the country. Samara did get to see action during that one, but the biggest action was no doubt yesterday. The TCU Horned Frogs took on the reigning national champion Penn State Lady Nittany Lions, and they put on a show. Went up quickly, 2-0 on Penn State, and they had a very critical player go down due to injury. And who did the coach turn to? None other than Samara Coleman to get work done. Penn State did make a bit of a late comeback there, but the Horned Frogs were able to fend them off in a 3-2 victory for the Horned Frogs. And we got some of those highlights here, including starting out here with an excellent kill on the outside over the middle blocker.
And right here was the first time that she had just checked in the game from that injury and gets a kill instantly. And look at her eyes, like basically telling her, great set, keep coming to me. And just seeing this through 2 defenders. And I love how Samara uses the back side of the court. Like most people, they either want to spike it in their face or more center court, but she knows how to use those angles. And then look at that, ace.
Killer
right
ace.
Just killer ace, right? Once again, seeing your girl from the ace, from the spike, but then going to the ace, right? Or the kill, I know volleyball is not my sport,
volleyball
right?
purist.
Yeah, but I don't want to upset the volleyball community here. But just once again, just looking at that serve, right? Going back again with the kill, right? We kind of, just replay this again, just because a lot of people don't understand the importance of being able to use all, parts of the court. And I got a lot lesson yesterday, getting to sit down, watch in the middle of the day, Labor Day. Let's put on some volleyball. Oh, there's Samara Coleman. And look at her. There's our girl, First Lady. True freshman.
Yes.
Playing for the number 24 team, 24 ranked team in the nation, and they upset the number 6.
They're going to be moving up.
They're going to be moving up
in those rankings now, because that was really impressive to see. And I think it speaks volumes to what Samara has been able to do in terms of integrating herself into the culture at TCU. A couple of questions as to why certain reps may not be going her way, but now you start to see that when the chance comes, Samara can be that spark plug that TCU needs. A critical injury to a key player, and she steps up and fills that gap almost seamlessly. I think that really is what TCU was looking for when Samara decided to take her talents to Fort Worth, or to, I forget what it was that they called it in that article, but it was something town. It was something town there for the TCU Horned Frogs.
It wasn't Funky Town, was it?
It was Funky Town.
Yeah, Funky Town. Yeah.
Over there at Fort Worth. But, Riff Rambazu, good to see TCU really utilizing the First Lady to her full capacity out there. And, again, it's really cool to see.
Bro,
really cool to see.
So cool to see it. I just want to tell you that, my phone is blowing up with this whole thing, right? This movement that we got here going on Protection United. It's just like now things are just rocking in motion. Jake, I cannot wait to share. But yes, so excited for what we did. And I love that, 3 of the athletes that are on this wall. I know the camera can't show Samara based off of where we're set up, but to have DJ, Justin, and now Samara, right? That is awesome, right?
Yeah.
3 of the 5. They've done things thus far, right?
Yes.
And they've got to show us, plays. I know that 4, like we go with Dylan now. Dylan Kenny, recovering from an injury. TCU had a great game last night, beat North Carolina, Bill Belichick's first game back.
Say beat the brakes off
Beat
of
the brakes off of them. But the thing is, you watch that game and the offensive line dominated. I'm hearing that Dylan is getting cleared. It's kind of what I'm getting some feedback now on. And he should be ready to go starting next week, right? Just kind of depends, but it just sucks, right? Because he was slated to be competing for that starting spot, gets rolled up on the last, like, I would say physical, right, practice a couple of weeks ago. But Dylan, we're praying for you, brother, wishing you well. We love the Kenny family.
That we do.
I got a feeling we're going to be showing another Kenny later on in this show. Got something in my ear telling me
some sort of feeling that's going to come up. Some kind of
feeling that another Kenny, right, but it might be coming up, not named Rod.
But it will be interesting too to see where Dylan fits into that very strong, tight-knit group. I had a chance to talk with him before the season started during a preseason interview, and he talked a lot about what the culture was like at TCU and how this is very much that buddy-buddy system of, I'm going to hold you to a standard, but now we're all upholding the team to that very same standard, where we're all elevating one another up. Sure, we may be able to point things out. And Dylan talked firsthand about how he didn't really pay attention to things in film, but now, as his teammates are starting to call him out, as his teammates are really starting to say, hey, man, work on this because it helped me out in my journey. It helped me out to get me where I am now. He starts to realize that that is what TCU has come to offer and what will elevate him to potentially that NFL level of talent. And on top of that, you mentioned being back for next week's game. You know who they got on the schedule next week?
SMU, right?
ACU. Abilene Christian will be headed to the fort.
Whoa, for real?
Yes, they will.
I don't know why I thought SMU. Wait.
September 13th. 7 o'clock.
So they're off next week.
Yes, they got an off week next week. Which,
okay,
or I guess technically this week.
Okay, they got an off week this week
because they got the Monday game.
Okay,
so it'd be
so it really was off last week. Yeah,
technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so they played their game this week. That makes sense. And so
their next game will be on the 13th against Abilene Christian. How about that?
Oh man,
isn't it funny how those things work out sometimes? Wow. Isn't that funny?
Ooh.
So that'd be interesting to see where he makes his Horned Frog debut against Abilene Christian.
Oh man,
that'd be cool to see.
Old school.
Yeah.
Okay.
And purple on purple action.
Yeah. So Samara got to go against her old school, kind of with Pitt. You know, I would say a shot of espresso at Pitt, and then now Dylan's getting to go against Abilene. Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
Let's
but
get it.
What was also really awesome too was to see the college first, the leap of faith, if you will, that a lot of our guys had, making that jump from the high school or even sometimes the transfer portal now to their home destinations where they find themselves at the collegiate level. There's a lot going on there where you're talking about fitting into a new culture, fitting into a new scheme. You don't necessarily know if it's going to benefit you in the long run, but now we get to see those first steps taking place. And starting out with true freshman for the Florida Gators, Luis Tonkara got his first collegiate catch, leading off the college football first. A great play here. Again, shout outs to the family members and the great guests that we have had on that have helped procure some of these videos, but a very solid catch there too, low going down to the ground. Got to get those hands underneath it in a spot where it's very nitpicky almost, where the referees are sort of looking for you to make that drop, looking for that ball to sneak through those arms as you go to the ground. But Luis was able to secure that one and got his first collegiate catch.
And I love it. If we just kind of watch this again, shout out to Mama Karen. She was the one that sent us the clip, Luis's mom, and there it is. I mean, just great. You know, start route, got underneath it. DB said, no, you didn't catch a ref. It's like, you're crazy. What you talking about, bro? That's a plain catch. That's a catch.
I know what I saw.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so true freshman coming in, didn't graduate early. However, made such a huge impact, right? Coming in for the summer programs and then continued to carry that over to the fall camp. And now you're looking at Muiz actually getting playing time, right? And is going to be a part of that rotation. One would say if you would have graduated early, been interesting to see. Don't get me wrong, you know, when you have a Dallas Wilson, you have a Vernell Brown, but that 3 spot was kind of open there. However, for him to bypass the people that were there for spring ball and to show that he's a guy, like I cannot wait to watch Luis as he continues to grow and develop into his role, right? Of being a for sure handed receiver, great route runner. And at the end of the day, that might not be that much, right? In the fantasy football world, but for a fan, right, of Muiz, it's awesome to get to watch him make that first catch and almost kind of get that little baby monkey off your back.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Because when you talk about these new guys coming in, how are they going to fit into a scheme? How are they going to fit in with the talent that's ahead of them?
Right.
More importantly,
Right.
is it's good to finally get that first job.
Right. In a room.
Finally get that first
Exactly.
job.
Especially in a room where they're so deep at the receiver position. Like they're deep. And I'm talking not scrub deep, like they're deep.
That's
like
yes.
3, 4, 5 stars. That's it. That's in that room. Right. You know, guys that could play for other schools, guys that could have not only full ride scholarships at other universities, but actually could be starting for other schools. But yet they're at Florida. They want to be a part of that, and also it's not a bad thing when you have a DJ Lagway to catch a ball from. I am living proof of that.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And he may be looking to get some more reps too, depending on how the game goes against USF. You might see a lot more Muiz. You might see some DeBron Hampton out there as well, depending on how things go against the Bulls. But speaking to your point too, Jay, of a guy that was definitely aided but has now been able to flourish on his own due to the help of DJ Lagway, it was your boy, Jalen Mickens. So Jalen got his first action against Southeastern Louisiana. You were there to witness that one firsthand. You talked a lot about what the buildup was like. From your emotional standpoint, what was that buildup of, internal feelings and then finally getting to see it play out on the field?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of emotion, right, going on. It's weird, right? Because, it's kind of twofold. Your dad, you're the manager, right? Now, we obviously represent him here at Protection United. And so you're going up there hoping that he's going to be a part of it, right? They didn't set the final depth chart until Friday evening at the slot receiver position. So every other position was announced, and Jalen didn't find out until they got to the team hotel. But they said he was going to rotate in. But you don't know what that means, right? Coaches say that a lot just to kind of keep you either mentally engaged or just kind of, that's a quick answer to not have to get into a long, detailed conversation, right? But after the first 2 series, he comes in, and then I noticed a pattern of 2 series, right? 2 series on, 2 series off. And so I'm now seeing, okay, this is where things are. This is where we are expecting, right? And that's what was told to him. And I also felt that him being in on, the 3rd and 10 situation, regardless if it was his turn or not, they run him in. Every time they went forward on 4th down, regardless if it was his turn or not, they put him in, right? But that being said, right, it was cool to see his first catch as well. Similar route to, I guess, Muiz in essence, but just kind of a little bubble, right? Receiver, jump, blocks, right? A little 2-yard catch action. It was kind of funny, right? Just to see that at some point, because it was early on. You see the sun is still out, Jake. Yep. So not late night action, right? Score still 0-0 at this point, and Jalen was actually he was the leading receiver at this point, right? I know Computer Jesus has that picture as well of, at least I hope that was sent, of the one catch for 2 yards on that. Thought I sent that, Ian, so I know he'll check. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is. Like, hey, 1 for 2. It was like 2 other receivers that were also listed out. That was kind of a cool moment, right? You kind of see your kid's name up there, and was the one target he got, and he caught it.
You make the most out of it.
Make the most out
of your opportunities.
Make the most out of it.
Ball comes your way, get those hands up and make sure it comes in.
It's just funny too, because it's like in high school, right? You're pissed. It's one catch. Right, what the heck? One target. But in college, it's different, right? And you understand it, and there's levels to it. And I'll be interested to see what his grade was. I know he had some good, blocks as well, which, Jalen, that was kind of one of his staples of his career. A lot of reasons why the great Jermaine Bishop at times didn't get touched, right? Along with DJ and some of the other athletes, high-level athletes. out from their high school because Jalen was the best blocker, right? From, downfield blocking. And I believe that La Tech's liking that. And we'll see, right? This week, big test at LSU. I felt good going into this one I'm excited to see right now. It's going to be interesting to see him compete against the SEC, right? He's been, told that he's not a P4, P5 guy, and now he's getting the opportunity to compete, against them at this level as a true freshman.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
No, and like we said earlier in the show, Death Valley will definitely be welcoming to each and every one of those Bulldogs that enters that stadium.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wish it was like 11 o'clock in the morning kickoff, a 6:30.
6:30. That's gonna be scary.
It's a little different.
Those lights turn on.
Yeah, you can smell the bourbon coming up from the stands down to the field. I've heard other players mention that
the band starts playing that particular song.
Yeah. That's man. I just hope they save all their energy for the Gators the following week.
No doubt.
Just let La Tech be the little brother. Come on in, little bro.
But still, significant strides and definitely breaking the ice, like you were talking about, of finally making that first jump, making that first play at the collegiate level, and supporting your team. And 24-0 win for Louisiana Tech. And now we got a dynamic duo out of Blaine College as Michael Mesquise and Jack Emerson took on Transformation with Athletics College. You and I were kind of questionable of Transformation with Athletics College.
Yeah.
What the heck are we talking? But Jack Emerson and Mesquise both left no doubt as to who the better players were and what the better team was out on the field.
Exactly. And what I love about this situation, too, is that once again, right, clients of Protection United, the families, the kids believing in us and what we try to do in essence of helping, obviously Jack was going to be QB no matter what, right? But the Michael Mesquise playing right tackle for Atascocita, doing what's best for his team, but wasn't doing what was best for him as an individual. And for him to now get to play center, which that's where he grades out to be a better suit for Group of Five as well as Power Four schools. You're looking at him now being at the center position, money snaps all night. And it's kind of cool to see two of our guys that played together the last time was in select football, right? Then with their separate ways in high school, and now they're back together. They know each other, they're friends. And now they're the two guys that touch the football every play, no matter what. And Computer Jesus, you can let the highlights roll, baby.
Yeah.
First snap was perfect, and then look at that dot. Jack Emerson,
in stride, perfectly placed. And this one I think was more impressive too, of the coverage and then the one-handed over-the-shoulder catch there. This is just the type of stuff that Jack Emerson was used to doing when he was at Willis, and now you get to see Mesquise there get in on a devastating double-team block on that play. But now it seems like they're both just so sure of themselves, right?
They are. No, they are. And Moose, that's what we call Mesquise, he always graded out as the overall #1 lineman when he played for our football organization, Texas Pines Elite. And it's because he could play any position. He could play the guard spot, the tackle spot, the center spot, even to play some D-line. But, getting to see this young man do what he did for, Blinn, right? And letting him, stay at center. I hope they don't move him around. If they do, at least he's got game film. And then, of course, right, snapping the ball to Jack Emerson, right? A young man that has worked his tail off his whole life, right? Jack was a pleasure to coach in the Little League ranks as well as select football ranks. I know Coach Miller would say the same at Willis. But a young man that took full advantage of his opportunity and endured it, right? Has a great family and Steve and Natalie Emerson, right? Steve and Natalie both, God-fearing, people, right? And they instill and have no shame in showing in their faith. And Jack is just a true, right? I would say presence and a true example of the way that you want to lead, right? Jack has always been a guy that leads by example. He's a great teammate. He's a coach's kid in that sense of, any coach would love to have him. But then you look on the field, he's playing like those dogs, those 3, 4, 5-star guys. Has a great tight spiral. And like you said, Jake, regardless of where the competition is on that level, we're grading Jack off of the placement of the ball, right? I mean, his balls came out. You saw on that one clip where he had that out, and the ball's out before the receiver comes out of the break. You mentioned the back shoulder throw. the first home run ball. I mean, Jack showed that he can command, right? And for all the naysayers, he's not a one-trick pony.
Nope.
A lot of people thought coming out the Willis, being in that offense, Coach Miller is like a QB whisperer to a degree when it comes to that. But Jack is like, well, Coach Miller's not around now, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, right? And I can continue to develop and grow. And the thing I love the most about Michael Mesquite and Jack Emerson, they are not losing any eligibility.
Nope.
JUCO new rules.
There's plenty of opportunity.
And that is why we supported that decision that both of those young men made here at Protection United, because you're getting the opportunity to continue to protect your craft. You're getting the opportunity to get more film in regards to Jack Emerson. And then Michael Mesquite is getting more opportunity because he can show, hey, I can play center.
Yep.
I can do that. I can have a guy over top of me, snap, get my block. I can snap and then go pull if I need to, if someone's not over me. There's a lot of opportunity for these young men, and I just can't wait for the phones to start ringing for both of them. I got a feeling we're going to be running a Jerry Lewis telethon for both of those young men, for schools wanting to acquire their services here before long.
No, I don't doubt that. 10 for 15, 144 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air for Jack Emerson. And you can't really get those good counting stats for offensive linemen, especially for the JUCO level where you're not really keeping track of pancakes. Very few D1 schools even keep track of things like pancakes, but 107 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground for Blinn definitely speaks to the caliber that they were playing with on the offensive line, because a great running back can do a lot of things, but he can't block for himself. He can't provide those openings like a great offensive lineman can. And so Mesquite's definitely put in some work there, and a 69-0 win for Blinn over Transformation with Athletics. And now we move over to another very talented guy that had to find his home through the transfer portal, but now he's finally starting to hit his groove. That is none other than College Park product Connor Dunphy. 7 catches for 38 yards may not seem like a lot to you, but when you look at the hits that he's taken, like that one, he still holds on to the ball through relentless contact, hops back up, and that was dang near a first down catch too.
No, it was. I mean, and we were blessed to watch Connor have a great high school career. But, I mean, look at them utilizing him. And once again, another young man that is just blessed to be put in a great situation. North Texas didn't work out for him. So he said, let me go find a home where they're going to be in love with me and they're going to show and respect my game. And look what Connor's doing. I mean, for him to have 7 catches, forget about the yardage, right? They're using him how they need to use him as a possessional receiver. That has always been where I personally have graded Connor for college football, not for high school, but for college football. Just that guy that can go catch balls and do things after the catch, but most importantly, catch the football. You look at a Wes Welker, you look at a Julian Elderman. Those young men had, or I will say men now, they're probably not as young as they used to be, however, but they had a very long, prosperous career by just catching the football, running great routes, catching the football. I'm so happy for Connor, and for him to have game 1, like that's different.
Yes.
And that's on a whole nother level. And that's another young man that I have a feeling will be another person that is going to continue to grow, continue to develop. And, he's found a great home right in Midwestern.
And he and I talked before the season got underway, and he talked a lot too about finding the right scheme and the right fit for him, where North Texas, they utilize some of their receiving pieces, but not to the way that really spoke to Connor or to a way that really benefited him. And that's not necessarily a selfish thing too, of you want to fit in somewhere. You want to be able to rely on your skills. And if the program that you're a part of right then and there doesn't benefit your skills in the way that you see it, why not take a leap of faith and make a jump somewhere else? And now Connor Dunphy gets to see that play out firsthand of that possessional receiver like you were talking about. I don't need to be the guy who's 50 yards downfield catching the bomb. Throw me a dump-off pass. Throw me a 3-yard out. Throw me a slant. And let me do something that is valuable as a workhorse receiver that is not the flashy guy, but the consistent guy, more like.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just so happy for him that he's getting his opportunity. He's taking full advantage of it. Once again, right, that you got to find that perfect home to be able to have somebody believe in you, and then you go do what we know you can do.
No doubt. And a guy that definitely left no doubts on the field was Daniel Peoples. We highlighted him during the beginning of the preseason as one of the great members of the Protection United crew, sturdy offensive lineman for William Penn University. They saw their first action in a rivalry matchup in week 1. Don't see a whole lot of those anymore. Usually that's your week 2, maybe week 3 matchup of let's figure out the kinks and then we'll take on our rivals. But William Penn trusted themselves and they got out there.
Yeah, unless you play in Ireland. For whatever reason, those games is like let's play a conference game in Ireland.
Let's play Farmageddon out in
Yes. To your point though, I mean, and you see the big man, I mean, just so happy for him, right? Situation where, as he's openly admitted, didn't take the classroom as seriously as he wanted to his junior year in high school, and that hurt him, right? But the fact that he's come back from that, right? Because a lot of times the story is not in the drama that unfolded. The story is the comeback. And for him to say, like, I get it now, right? Worked his tail off his senior year. Now he's working his tail off in the classroom. And then, because he's always going to be dominant on the football field. Like, he's a dude. He came out of the womb as a dude. But now he's understanding that there's two sides to this. And when we're so proud of him, and he's just another young man that is a P4 guy. Just call it what it is. However, he's where he is now, William Penn. He's doing a phenomenal job. He started as a true freshman. And, I mean, I don't really know what else we can say about that, because he is a guy that will definitely be on the radar for just a lot. I mean, his future is so freaking bright. And, I mean, we're just happy for him.
And like you said, too, JUCO guy, so he's not going to lose any years of eligibility. He just gets to build that experience and build up those tendencies that will hone him into a great D1 player. But right now, he is the owner of the Billy Bowl belt.
The Billy Bowl belt.
The triple B out there for William Penn. It gets to stay with William Penn is the more important thing. And so I'm very sure that Daniel is incredibly happy for that, both for himself and obviously for his team and his program. But Jay, we do have an announcement to make, as for those folks were in Louisiana, because the newest member of the College Protect You crew is none other than Brody Savage. Oh my goodness! Look at that! Look.
Hey, our talent scout loves this kid. Like Logan talked about, and I remember asking him, and he said his film is fun to watch. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? He's fun to watch. Like, he can make any throw on the run. Just a young man that, once again, will end up having a great story and a great success. And, Protection United will get to be a part of it just because of the fact that you're looking at someone that, if he was marketed better, he would have had big-time D1 offers coming out of high school. Parents just didn't understand the importance of that side of it. But as you can see here, right, game-winning play, almost at the buzzer, dot. Leads his team at a JUCO.
Not only was that the game-winning touchdown, but a comeback victory as well.
Exactly.
When you talk about those big moments of the plays that define a guy, that define that journey, those first couple of steps, that is one of those steps, Jay.
It was. No, definitely. And, playing the QB position, everyone knows, is not the easiest position in the world. And it's really the most sensitive position, right? Because it only can be one. And for, Brody to do what he did in Louisiana, dominate the camp circuit, actually outplayed some other QBs that did get the opportunity, but it's just two things that can hurt you. If you don't have a name, like a Manning, just throwing out as an example, right? Or if you don't have someone that's truly marketing you and promoting you, you can get kind of lost in the sauce a little bit. And now Brody is going to get an opportunity, because at the end of the day, the tape doesn't lie. 3, 4, 5 stars, all that doesn't matter when you get to the college ranks. And he has an opportunity to show the rest of the nation what they missed out on, and add him to that list of the Jerry Lewis Telethon, right? Or, I don't know, maybe we should call it the Protect You Telethon. The Protect You Telethon. That'll be the PUT. P-U-T.
We got the pup. We got the putt. You're on top of this, Jay.
Bro,
you're on top of it.
I just feel that our phones are going to be ringing off. I'm glad our COO made us get business phones. It's going to be ringing, because
we're fielding calls of, hey, y'all know this Brody Savage guy?
Right.
We want him.
Right.
We want him.
And I remember I was on the phone with his dad, and, obviously his younger brother, Briggs, was still kind of closing that deal and getting him, the senior linebacker that's out of Shreveport. But I called Dad. I was like, look, we can talk about Briggs later. Let's get Brody signed up right now. Like, we don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Your son just led a huge comeback in his first ever collegiate game, and he threw the game-winning touchdown to help cap it off. These are moments that you missed in high school. Let's don't miss this in college too. So happy for Brody. Brody, welcome to the crew, homie. Cannot wait to get you fully on board. It's kind of a rush job. We're working on Labor Day weekend, but we had to get it done. Proud of you, bro, and I can't wait to continuously get these highlight clips and watch him progress throughout the season.
Yes, no doubt on that. And huge thanks to Cinco Creative, our collaborators here on making a lot of these graphics, because we threw a lot at them, because not only did we have a good chunk of guys making the jump here, joining the Protect You college ranks, like you saw there with Brody, obviously like you saw there with DJ on those graphics that we've had now, and the PFF ranking there for Justin Williams, but you talked behind the scenes, and I was in on a couple of those conversations of trying to figure out, legality-wise, the coverage that we can do for the Texas crew, the Texas guys here, where we've talked a pretty decent amount about how NIL laws are very different for high schoolers depending on what state that you're in. Louisiana has been incredibly helpful for us because it's a carte blanche. Do what you want to do for high schoolers and NIL earners in the state of Louisiana, but Texas is a little bit trickier. Where we saw the opportunity, and Jay, I give you tremendous credit for this, of taking the initiative on it, of should we treat this more so as an opportunity to promote and less as an opportunity to have them earn? We show them off and we use it almost like you said as a recruiting service that many other high schoolers and many other athletes in the state of Texas are using to try and get their names out there. Protect You just does the very same thing. Why not give them a little bit of love? And that's what this segment here is going to be all about, Jay.
Yeah, exactly. And let's just say a lot of time and money spent with attorneys, right? Just kind of reading through, not only the UIL, bylaws, but also reading through the way that Protection United was set up, right? The way their infrastructure. I mean, we had to open up, kind of raise the hood and allow the attorneys to come do deep diving into our, setup. And what we saw is that we are a recruiting service based, because we do help athletes get recruited, for colleges, right? Also too, right? We are a brand marketing agency as well. We manage social media pages, and we help also build that up. And so by us only doing that with our Texas athletes and only recognizing those young men as well as young ladies in the state of Texas, and only doing that, there's nothing illegal about that, right? We're not negotiating the contracts. We're not giving any money. Nor are we trying to go get them money, right, as well, right? None of that transpires until they are in college. However, being able to help them get recruited, and Brandon, is no different than some of these other great organizations like the NCSAs, right? Or, we see some other, local, companies that are helping these kids get on, because these high school coaches can only do so much. They can't be on the phone 24/7 talking for 53 athletes, right? Or 70, whatever their numbers are over there. But this is where we can jump in, right? And we can help. And we've been blessed to represent some good athletes here in the state of Texas. And now we get to announce a few of them. I'm excited.
That we do. And we're starting off with a pretty heavy here too for the announcements of the Texas boys. It is Jay Storm Knight, the big man, and a guy that you have had a great opportunity to talk with as well, Jay, of having met him personally, have a great photo of him, not just here in this recruiting image, but
he is the
mountain of a man.
Yeah, he is the number one offensive lineman in the 2028 class, and you see him like there, kind of go back, Computer Jesus, just letting it roll. I like it. It's fine. But yeah, he is number one offensive lineman, 2028. He is on every college coach's board as the guy. Started as a true freshman. This is his sophomore year. Kid is just 15 years old. 15 years old. And I mean, is at Judson, right? You know, one of the prestigious high schools here in San Antonio. But you're looking at someone in the computer, if you could pull up the back, just that one picture of him holding baby Jordan, because I definitely want just to kind of highlight that real quick.
The sheer size of him.
Yeah, just the sheer size, but most importantly, just how baby Jordan was looking at him, right? So just you turn that back on, just kind of let it get to it. But it was one of those deals where you could just tell, right? You know, look at that. I mean, he didn't take his eyes off of him. Like, he didn't want to smile for the camera. He didn't want to do anything but be like, who is this giant holding me? Like, who is this guy? He didn't cry, right? He's tough. Baby Jay's built tough, but yeah, he's definitely up there. But yes, Jay Storm Knight, we're so excited to be representing this young man. I mean, you're looking at, I mean, a potential future Hall of Famer.
No doubt.
Right? I mean, he could dominate that right tackle position, maybe even slide over to left tackle at some point. But for sure, we all know how important tackles are. And he's a guy that is going to be a huge, commit to whatever university that he goes to. But right now, right, we're just in the world of helping build his brand, right? And helping with that process of making sure that he picks the right university. As well as helping him in regards to what camps he needs to go to, just basically being a good support system.
Yep, no doubt. And not to mention, too, he did have an excellent showing during his first game of the season. Did not miss a single block the entire game. No sacks, no pressures from his side of the ball. So you're already starting to see that trickle up from his sophomore age. And then one that we were able to see firsthand, we were in the stadium on the field for none other than Dylan Mitchell, as we announced his commitment as well. Had a great opportunity to talk with his dad as well about the hype that he is experiencing, not just for his son, but also for the team over there at CE King. And boy, did Dylan make an impact here.
Yeah. I mean,
especially during the special teams play. Two guys trying to bring him down. Ignore the laundry in the background, because the sheer speed and the elusiveness.
Well, he's got world-class speed. I mean, he's already on the Nike 18 and under, like, I'm the fastest man in the world track squad. And I mean, finished third in the state of Texas in the 100 meters dash as a freshman, right? Which means that he would be number one in about, 45 other states.
Yes.
Right, as a freshman, because nobody's faster than cats here in Texas and Florida. But, I mean, Dylan Mitchell, great get, been friends with the family for many years. I call him Superman is the nickname I call him. My favorite nickname for him is Autopilot.
Okay.
Autopilot.
I like that.
Dad will always say, I got to coach up the other 10 guys, and then I could just put, Dylan in Autopilot, and we would laugh about it. Because he wasn't lying, right? It wasn't him blowing his kid up. It's just Dylan's always been that guy. Quick fun fact, Dylan and Jay Storm used to play on the same select tackle football team.
I can't imagine how much of a nightmare that must have been to go up against.
Like, him blocking and then Dylan just shooting out. Good luck.
How do you stop that?
Nobody did. Nobody did.
Nobody did. And it was very clear that nobody could have stopped Dylan Mitchell or CE King during that season opener. Nearly 100 all-purpose yards for Dylan in what you said, too, and what I believe was correct, of his first varsity experience. That's incredible to get up there and show out on that level for nearly 100 all-purpose yards through special teams, and then also on some jet sweeps and some good speed action as well out of the receiver position, as CE King took down Westfield by a score of 32-14 and a very strong showing. And then that was our Thursday game. And then Friday, we brought the player development out as well. BJ Scoggins joined us for a game down in Pearland as we went and saw Jerome Bell and the Coleman twins get out there for Shadow Creek's opener, and Jerome was a force defensively.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I love the fact that they have Bell now being more in the box. He's still like a strong safety, but he's a strong safety in the box, right? Yes. And I mean, he had so many solo tackles. I mean, how many times did we hear his name over the PA announcer over and over? I mean, this young man, might have had, 8, 10 solo tackles, obviously a handful of assists as well. But number 7 was all over the field, and they went against a great Summer Creek team. I mean, you're looking at a team that is ranked nationally in a lot of these polls. And Shadow Creek took them the distance, right? And defensively, they slowed them down. They made them uncomfortable. And Jerome Bell was a huge reason, part of that.
Yeah, no doubt. And it was a very heavily offensive game, too. So when you saw Jerome Bell get out there and make the impact that it did, it mattered.
Right.
Those key stops, those key tackles mattered in what was ultimately a very close game for the Sharks. And we keep it on the defensive side of the ball for the next member of the Protect You Texas High School crew. That is none other than Davis Kenny.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I've only heard a handful of the things that you, Rod, and Derek have been mentioning about this guy. And again, the natural skeptic in me said, yeah, family ties, sure, we'll see it when it plays out. Brother, when you see these week 1 highlights, you will understand that the hype is real around a guy like Davis. Great game defensively. Again, shout outs to these clips where I don't know how he comes away with that.
He just took it from him. I mean, but when you're one of the top safeties in the nation, right, currently committed to Northwestern University, I mean, you are that guy, right? I mean, you know, he's very strong, right? I mean, he's got a great build, great frame on him. But he's also a ball hawk in the secondary, as you're going to see right here, right? Just great break on the ball. He became the receiver, got both feet in for the league. Only got to get 1 in for high school. He said, let me get 2 in. And then, of course, this play, which is another top 5 play of the week. I think we'll be showing this on one of our reels on our Instagram page. But, I mean, it's hard to really see, and I hate that we weren't able to zoom in. But that was to end the game, a one-handed interception that was just a phenomenal play by Davis Kenny, you know, baby brother of Dylan, right? But Davis said, you know what? I'm tired of not getting that sunlight and being that, you know, productive tree, but still being a smaller tree. Davis, you know, in a very polite way, didn't want TCU to even recruit him. And I believe kind of let that be known because he wants to make his own path, right? And sure enough, this young man is, right? You know, obviously education is very important to him, hence why he is committed currently to Northwestern University. But he's a guy that could be playing Big Ten football, and they're talking about him coming in and being a part of that 2-depth, you know, chart as a true freshman. And making plays like that definitely will garner, you know, those interests, right, in that DB coach at Northwestern.
Yes, no doubt on that. And we ended off here with one final addition, another Louisiana member of the Protect You crew. That is Ryan Reeder, a kicker out of Union Parish High School. We've had several conversations with and several additions to the crew centering around the kicking game, bringing on guys that might fly under the radar for some teams. But the kicking game is, special teams are a part of the game for a reason. You need a good kicker. You need a great punter. Also, shout outs to these photos.
I know.
Beautiful.
I mean, you see the grass clippings and I don't know, that sweat coming off his foot. I can't wait for this reel to come back around. Just keep it going, Computer Jesus. But
right.
I mean, I don't know, but you're right. I mean, shout out to the camera guy. Look, there it is. Look at that. Like, is that mist? Is that dew? Like, but I mean, you're looking at a young man as one of the top punters, right, in the state of Louisiana. You know, great young man. I'm so excited to have him, right? Because like you mentioned, Jake, specials are important. We've seen a lot of kickers have very long careers, not just collegiately, but also in the NFL. He's a guy that can boot it, right? I mean, Ryan is, in my opinion, one of the guys that when you look at whether it's selecting a real team or even fantasy football, Rich, you and I are huge in, had a couple of guests in on Friday for the special show that taught a lot of fantasy. But, you know, Ryan is a guy that is going to get recruited all over the nation. He's 2027. And so got 2 more years left. And we get it. You know, a lot of times the opportunity doesn't present itself the way that you want it to for a kicker. However, when he gets those opportunities to punt, you see what he's doing. He's flipping the field, you know, and that field position is huge. He knows how to kick it not only accurately, but he can also pinpoint in certain spots. Those special little things, right? And then I hear that he can also kick field goals too.
That's invaluable for any kicker to be able to multitask like that. Where usually you talk about the kicker handles the kicking duties, and then your punter is exclusively on to handle those types of situations. So to have that Swiss Army knife mentality of being able to handle kicking as well as punting, while they may seem very similar, very different mechanic wise.
100%.
Could not be farther in terms of mechanics.
Exactly. And so with that being said, this first slew of Texas athletes and the one Louisiana connect again with Ryan, the high school level, welcome to the crew, right? So excited, and honored, right? That you young men, as well as your parents, trusted us here at Protection United to represent you and to help build your brand, as well as, help you get recruited and help you get more offers for our Texas kids. And then, of course, Louisiana being the Wild Wild West, we're doing the same thing for them, but also being able to help them, in other facets of, their football journey. So just know that, speaking on behalf of myself, as well as Derek Lagway, my co-founder, business partner, right, other managing director here, we appreciate and love all the support that everyone has given us here at Protection United. We know the ones that are somewhat the naysayers, and I get it, right? Because a good friend of mine and a mentor of mine always told me that if you aren't doing something right, then people aren't going to have anything bad to say, right? It's just one of those deals, and it kind of comes with it. But we're here for it, right? Because at the end of the day, we wake up with smiles on our faces every day. We're so honored and proud of what we are building here at Protection United, and just the growth and as long as our clients continue to want to be blessed, we're going to continue to bless them and work our tails off for them. So that being said, thank you guys all so much.
No doubt on that. We're very happy to see new additions to the Protect You crew. There's going to be a couple more rolling out here as the season continues on, especially for those Texas guys here. We love each and every one of y'all, and we cannot wait to see y'all show your stuff, both to us and to the crowds at large that we're going to be blasting this one out to. So we're very excited for that. A lot of action has been happening this week, and a lot more action is going to happen ahead of next week's show. So we hope that you all stick around for the next episode and next week's action. But as always, this has been the Protect You podcast. Jake Wilson, Jay Mickens, Justin Wood, Computer Jesus was our producer. We hope to catch you all on the next one. See you around.